Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We're going to get into some YouTube comment issues, things that people have pointed out to me and things that I have noticed when I've been trying to answer your comments on YouTube. We'll get into a foot update. A lot of people have been asking me about my boiled feet and how they are doing. We are going to talk a little bit about, oh my Lord, whether or not I've been feeling sad. Has seasonal affective disorder started to rear its head in my life, something that I never thought I would. I always kind of sneered at it when people said that the changing weather in the Pacific Northwest would start making them depressed. And then especially as regards to photography, because I've been doing so much photography for the last year and a half, weather plays much more of an impact, or has much more of an impact in my life than it used to, and kind of affects my mood more than it used to. We'll get into your questions, comments, and feedback, and hashtag #AskStuffandThings. And then, of course, we will do Patreon shout-outs and updates, things you can look forward to exclusively on Patreon. I need to check my microphone. Okay, we are recording audio. I'm using my GoPro, which I'm not used to because it is so wet and rainy, and I think everything is going well. I guess we'll see when I edit this video. Stay tuned. All right, gang, what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, first of all, this week, exclusively on Patreon, we will be doing the revisited video for MacBaron HH Bold Kentucky. Now, if you're a Patreon supporter, you have to be a Patreon supporter to see this video. But if you are a Patreon supporter, you might have seen that I already posted the original review for MacBaron HH Bold Kentucky on Patreon in the From the Archives series. So that was a review that I posted, I think, in 2018 originally. And so I jumped it up in line because I was doing everything in order. I think we're into like October 2015 in the From the Archives series, where I'm reposting old pipe blend reviews that I had to take off YouTube. They're being reposted on Patreon. But I jumped HH Bold Kentucky ahead in the line because I wanted that to be there for when I did the revisited video, which we'll be posting this week on Patreon. So check that out and check out the original review if you haven't already. The week after that on YouTube, we will have, well, YouTube and Patreon, we will have the review of a vintage camera flash. It's the SUNPAK AUTO 101, and it is a perfect little compact flash that I'm using for my Leica M6. I don't have it with me right now because it is very wet and rainy, and my Leica and that flash are not waterproof or weatherproof. But it's this great little compact flash, only takes 2 AA batteries. It has a built-in PC sync port or cable that you can plug into the PC sync port on your old vintage film camera. And it is absolutely perfect for the Leica M6. It has some auto abilities. It uses a thyristor circuit for auto capabilities. Excellent little flash, and it's super cheap. You can find it for, I don't know, 10 to 15 bucks on eBay all day. So stay tuned for that review. And then after that, I'm trying to shelter this from the rain a little bit. We will be doing a sort of revisited, sort of review of the Padron 2000 Natural. That will be exclusive to Patreon. And it is a burning stick that I have really enjoyed in the past. I haven't had one for years. And I had never really done a review of it because I just don't consider myself an expert in burning sticks. But I decided to try to do a pseudo review, kind of revisited episode for Patreon because it had been so long since I had had one, and I wanted to try to describe the flavors that I love so much. So lots of good stuff coming up on YouTube and on Patreon. Please stay tuned. Oh my Lord. This umbrella is just dripping down my back. It's almost making it worse. I don't typically use an umbrella when I'm in the Pacific Northwest, or just as a Pacific Northwesterner, I don't use umbrellas very often, but because I'm going to be out here for like an hour recording videos, I thought I would bring one. But yeah, it's not great. So people have been pointing out to me, and I have noticed myself, that a lot of the comments that I'm getting on my YouTube videos are not showing up where I would normally see them. So not to get too much behind the scenes, but if you are posting videos on YouTube, there is something called YouTube Studio. It's the interface that YouTube gives you to manage your channel. And on that, you know, you'll have all your content, all sorts of things, settings, everything. And there is a place for you to see all the comments, and they will be all kind of gathered together. You can do it by video if you want, but there's also just a feed of every single comment that you get. You can sort them by unresponded or order you've received them. And I have noticed that I am not getting comments, or they're not displaying in my YouTube Studio comment section. So people have said like, oh, you never answered my comment. And then I look and it's not there in YouTube Studio. But then if I go to the watch page for that particular video, it will be there. And I don't know why this is happening. And so it is making it kind of difficult for me to keep up with everything. If it's a recent video, then I will go to that watch page because I know that, okay, I just posted this video. Let me go to the watch page and see what comments there are. But if people are commenting on old videos, I won't necessarily see them because I don't know, I can't look through every video that I've ever posted and check to see if there are any new comments on there. And since they're not showing up in YouTube Studio, please don't feel offended if I haven't responded to a comment that you have left on an older video, because I just might not have been able to see it. And if you haven't had a response on a newer video, it could be that I just couldn't see that either. I am trying to check the watch pages and just looking at the feed of comments. So I'm doing my best, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this is happening. Hopefully it's an issue that YouTube will solve soon, but until then, I will try my utmost to at least read all your comments and respond to them when I can. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Next, people have been asking me for a foot update. Sorry, my nose is running. I'm disgusting right now. Last week on Sunday Stuff and Things, I posted my tale of woe, the worst morning ever, where an entire carafe of boiling water splattered my feet and boiled my feet. I had some really bad blistering and burns on both of my feet. And I showed you some very exciting pictures of all of that. And people have been wondering, you know, how's it going? So I have to admit, it has been kind of miserable the last couple weeks. The boiling of the feet was one thing, but then because of that and me trying to heal, I took one day off of work, but then I had to go back because we were just too busy. And so it's tough to do a job where you were on your feet for, you know, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, walking around on really uneven, rough surfaces on a construction site with boiled feet, with feet where the skin is all blistered and has been peeling off. So that was painful and annoying. It was much worse on my left foot than it was on my right. But because I was limping around, I couldn't really bend my right foot because of where the wound was on my right or my left foot. I was limping on my left foot, and I think that caused my back to flare up. So I started having really bad back issues again, and I know I should know better than to hurt my back, but sometimes I'm just an idiot and it happens. So I had the foot thing, I had a back thing, I had some really weird pain in my elbow, I had pain in my wrists and my neck, like I was just completely falling apart. I felt like one of my favorite quotes from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indy says to Marion as he is recovering on the ship after all the crazy sequence of trying to get the Grail back, or not the Grail, the Ark back from the truck and all this stuff, where he's on the ship with Captain Katanga, I think. And he says, "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage."
Not the man I knew 10 years ago.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
And I have had a lot of really rough mileage on this body here. It keeps me in pretty good shape doing the work that I do and everything. But there's a lot of structural wear and tear on the old body. But I will report that after a couple weeks of kind of miserable physical situations, I am mostly recovered in every regard. My feet have pretty much healed over. There's still some pain, but not too bad. And then my back has pretty much gotten back to normal. There's still a little bit of stiffness in the mornings and stuff. My elbow doesn't feel too bad right now. Like, I think in general, I'm doing much better than I was. So thank you for asking. So I live in the Pacific Northwest, and in the Pacific Northwest, it rains a lot. starting in the fall and lasting through winter and into late spring, even into early summer, we have a lot of gray, overcast, windy, rainy days. And as you can see, this is a perfect example of one of those days. It's actually not really raining too bad right now. I think I could even get rid of this, which I will. Ugh. It is not always conducive to go out in this kind of weather to do videos, and I need to if I'm going to do something that involves, you know, pipes or burning sticks or things like that, and that's why I'm out here in it today. I am wearing my lovely Bronson Manufacturing M1951 parka replica. It's pretty good for rainy weather like this. It's not absolutely waterproof, but it does a pretty good job of shedding the water and keeping it off of you. But people in the Northwest, you will often hear, and it's usually people who have moved here from elsewhere, saying that they get SAD in the fall and winter. And by SAD, they mean they get seasonal affective disorder, where because of the gray skies, because of the overcast, and also because we're so far north that it starts getting dark very early in the winter. By the height of winter, it'll be dark by, you know, 3:45 in the afternoon here. So the days get really short. It's really gray. You don't see the sun. And I always scoffed at those people because I think the weather here is kind of amazing. I think the climate, the overall climate in the Pacific Northwest is perfect. Shh, don't tell anybody that because too many people are here already. But it has the most beautiful summers you can imagine, and there's summers where you can actually go out and enjoy them because it doesn't get too hot or too humid. It's usually just in the 70s and beautiful and sunny. It hardly rains at all in the summer here, but it's just gorgeous and you can go out and enjoy it. My little brother and his family moved back to Houston last year, and they can't do anything in the summer. It's in the high 90s and it's super humid. You just can't really go outside and enjoy it. Here you can. It's gorgeous. And then the rain and the overcast, it keeps everything here beautiful and green. It usually never rains super hard. That's why most people in the Pacific Northwest don't use umbrellas because, you know, the weather is very changeable. So people will just layer up, have a hood or something like that. When it does rain, it's usually just kind of a drizzle. Sometimes it rains hard, but usually it doesn't. And so for me, I've always said, you know, the weather here is beautiful. You still get seasons. They're usually not super extreme. The weather is pretty mild. But I do have to say that ever since I started trying to photograph pretty much every day, and that has been the last year and a half, I have started feeling a little bit of depression creeping in when the weather starts changing. I love the summers. I love the fact that I can get off work. I might be home at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I can get changed and I can go downtown and I have hours of sunlight where I can go out and take pictures. And when it starts getting dark so early, when the weather starts changing, even when it's not dark yet, but you go out and it's super overcast and you're trying to take, especially film photographs, where it's just so dark, it makes it much more difficult. And I do think that has kind of started to affect my mood a little bit, where I just don't feel like I have as many opportunities to go out and take photographs. I'm going to try to start doing some things to mitigate that. I am going to experiment with pushing film a little bit when I'm doing my film camera. One thing too is though, if it's raining, I can't really use my Leica if it's raining really hard because it's not weather sealed really at all. But I do have my digital camera that I can switch to. But I'm going to try pushing film a little bit. I'm going to experiment with some different film stocks maybe. I got a couple rolls of T-Max. I might want to see what that looks like if I push it a couple stops. I do have that little flash, the SUNPAK AUTO 101, that I'm going to start bringing with me more often and trying it as like a daylight fill flash. So even if it's daylight, but if it's super overcast and I'm maybe metering at like 5 stops below the sunny 16 place that I would normally be, then I could use that flash as a fill flash, because if you do that in auto mode, you set your aperture to f11, and on the Leica M6 or the Leica M4, did I say M6 before? On the Leica M4, the flash sync speed is like 1/55. So that's right about the right area. It has to be pretty dark for me to use that as a daylight fill flash, but it definitely does get that dark in the winter here in the Pacific Northwest. it makes it much more nerve-wracking to take pictures if you have a flash on your cameras, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try to do some things to mitigate this. I still want to be able to get out there pretty much whenever I can to take photographs. And if I can't bring my Leica out because of the rain, I will try my digital camera. And if it's dark, I'll try flash. We'll see how it goes, but I'll be reporting back and letting you know. But yeah, I am feeling a little sad, a little bit of seasonal affective disorder because the weather has changed and I don't have those beautiful long summer days to go out and take pictures to my heart's desire. But I'll keep you posted. Hopefully I'll get some good results even in the dead of winter. All right, gang, but now it is time for hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you can tweet at SAT Bradley, but you probably shouldn't because nobody does. Or you can leave me or you can write to me via Patreon, go right to the front of the line. You can hit that super thanks button under this video and go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos, just like Chris Caughey did on last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. He says, gosh, I hate to ask, but should you have known not to break your French press? Yes, you are correct. I should have known not to break my French press and boil my feet. I like to walk barefoot in my apartment during the summer, and a month or so ago, I knocked a glass jar out of my refrigerator onto the kitchen tile. It shattered. My stupid initial reaction was to pick up my feet in order to keep the jar from landing on the top of my foot, but of course, when I put my foot down, it was right on top of a piece of broken glass, so my kitchen looked like the scene in the original Die Hard movie. Seriously though, I'm really sorry you got hurt. Yeah, I'm sorry that you cut your feet up. Luckily, I did not add cutting my feet, even though there was glass all over, to the boiling of my feet. At Ashes of the Phoenix says, ouch, next time leave your coffee press or whatever you have boiling water in the sink. So if you do actually knock it over, it will spill in the sink and not on your feet. Such a common sense good idea, Ashes of the Phoenix, and I have started doing this. I never knocked over my coffee press before, my French press, and so, you know, it never really occurred to me. I'm not very clumsy. I'm not very accident prone in general. I have pretty good reflexes. Usually if I do knock something over, I'll catch it. That just obviously didn't work with the French press. But yes, that is amazing advice. And I have started doing that. I fill my French press and I put it in the sink while it is brewing. Thank you for that. At Solar Labyrinth says, I'm sorry you burned your feet, but I'm also sorry you lost your coffee. If it happened to me, I'm not sure which would be worse. The feet was worse. The feet were much worse. And the NFL is so weird this year. I felt there are really no dominant teams, so the season feels wide open. Hopefully it makes for an exciting finish. Yeah, I talked last week about how I didn't want too many people jumping on the Seahawks bandwagon, and then right after I did that, of course, they lost. They're playing the Jaguars this week. We'll see. Their defense is very depleted. They were missing tons of I think it was over half of their starting defensive lineup last week. So hopefully they'll start getting some players back. But yeah, I think they could be good. I think they could actually win the NFC West. We'll see. And then the Mariners, oh my God, did you guys see that game last night? They beat Detroit game 5. It went to 15 innings, I think. Crazy game, crazy good. I'm kind of excited. It's been fun to sort of dip my toes into baseball a little bit again. So we're having fun in Seattle right now, and it's been a while. At Tom Brown says, I once heard a Nobel laureate who had won for his work in genetics in which he used fruit flies, thousands of them. He told the interviewer that when he came into the lab in the morning, he always said, morning, boys, did you miss me? Yeah, so I was talking about my fruit flies issue and how I've been speaking to them because they've just become these perpetual roommates in my apartment. But I will report that I have left the windows closed for an entire week, which I hate because I like getting fresh air in the apartment, but the fruit flies have dropped down to almost zero. So they were coming in from outside, but I still don't really get that. That's just weird to me. Why would they even know to try to come into my window? And there's nothing for them in my apartment anyway, so I don't know. But anyway, it seems to be working. And then we have some feedback for the video I posted on the Homage X Starter heavyweight Seahawks satin jacket. So kind of old school starter jacket. You might remember those from the 80s and 90s, really cool. They were the thing to have in the 80s and 90s. And Homage, a company in Ohio, did a collaboration with Starter and released these really cool vintage-inspired starter jackets for the NFL. They have them for Major League Baseball as well. And I got a Seahawks one. It's awesome. And Futterman Bucker via Patreon says, pretty nice. I would get a Celtics jacket, but they ruined the back. Yeah, I guess they had some basketball ones too. Maybe a Pats one. Those are pretty sweet. Seahawks have always been my favorite team colors though. Yeah, the original Seahawks team colors. I don't like the new Seahawks team colors, and they're not even new because these colors have been since, when was it? 2005 or something? When they switched over? They had their like wolf gray period, but basically the colors that I liked were done by the 90s. But I just think they look fantastic. I think they should go back to them. At Les Brady says, I like the updated detailing and finish. Nice. That was via Patreon as well. Thanks, Les Brady. And then at Charlie Woot says, I grew up in Michigan, but also rocked a Raiders starter jacket in the very early 90s. Mine was simpler looking though. Nothing on the sleeves, just a black satin jacket, starter logo on the sleeve near the cuff, and Raider shield on the left chest. I had that exact same jacket when I was a kid. I wanted to get one of these, but they used a cheesy Lions logo they briefly used back in the day, and not the normal one they had in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I don't know enough about the Lions to understand or to know what they used when, but with the Seahawks, there was only really one other option. It was their vintage logo or the modern logo. They use the vintage logo. Plus, they don't have any in fat boy sizes anyway. Actually, I'm wrong. They have all sizes available again. Yeah, it seemed like they had a pretty wide range of sizes. And like I said, I got a medium and it fit me pretty well. I'm 6'2", 180-ish pounds. All right, gang, thanks for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, but now it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support Stuff and Things on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. It is basically the reason I'm able to keep making these videos. We don't make much on YouTube, I'll tell you that right now, and Patreon is basically how I fund this channel. And if you like anything I post on YouTube or Patreon, your support on Patreon will keep that content coming. You also get access to an archive of pipe stuff on Patreon. So most of the pipe stuff that I had on YouTube had to be taken off in order for me to remonetize the YouTube channel and be in the YouTube partner program. So I've been building up an archive of all the old pipe reviews. That's where we're starting on Patreon, but eventually we're going to be bringing a lot of other stuff there as well. We have dozens of those old reviews on Patreon already. $5 a month gets you in, gets you access to all that good stuff. Everything new that I post that's pipe or tea related, you'll get access to as well. And then you also get early and ad-free access to the videos that I post on YouTube. And every week we like to shout out those who support Stuff and Things at $25 or more a month. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, Mr. Gibson, and Chris Caughey. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support Stuff and Things at $100 a month. People like Stolid and Dependable, Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, if you are a Patreon supporter, what can you look forward to exclusively on Patreon? Well, we will have the H.H. Bold Kentucky Revisited episode this week. So that was something I mentioned. We posted the old review last week on Thursday in the From the Archive series. That was from 2018. Revisited episode is posting this week. It's kind of sad because you can't get it anymore, but it was sort of the swan song, kind of a wake for H.H. Bold Kentucky. And then on Thursday in the From the Archive series, we will have kind of random blend, but it was next up. It's McClelland Christmas Cheer 2015. And that review was from October 22nd, 2015. So almost exactly 10 years ago. So lots more stuff coming up on Stuff and Things YouTube. Lots more stuff coming up on Stuff and Things Patreon. Some of it exclusive, all of it early and ad-free. And stay tuned for the McBaron H.H. Bold Kentucky Revisited Patreon-only video, the SUNPAK Auto 101 Flash video, the Patreon 2000 Natural Review Revisited, whatever you want to call it, video, and lots more good stuff coming up. Lots more photography-related stuff on the YouTube channel and Patreon as well. But until next time, until we meet again, I'm your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a cold, blustery, rainy day in the Pacific Northwest. I'll see you later.